Liv, here we are again for Real Talk.
It's Liv.
And Leonie. And
Are we going to nail this?
This is
It's Real Talk.
and today I want to talk about what's going on in your world.
Well, as you know, I'm just back from a nice little holiday to Noosa, darling.
Love me some Noosa time.
Which is always just the best time. And been a little annual pilgrimage that we've done the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But this is a great holiday because we do it with other families. So it's just naturally kind of turned into that. We arrived for the first time a few years ago and I bumped into a girlfriend from uni who was just happened to be staying at the same place.
Yep.
So we've just happened to book the same dates from that point on because we've got kids a similar age.
Yep.
And we've worked out that, oh my goodness, holidaying with other families is actually the key to success as your kids get older, because kids are the best babysitters of kids.
Yeah,
So
you
the kids
do love
just
a bit of a holiday with other
yeah.
families, don't you?
It has been a really good thing for us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I tell you, I needed a break after the last 9 months of this year. 10 months now, oh my goodness, nearly 11. Again, the years just evaporate, but let's not dwell on that. Let's dwell on the importance of having holidays.
Yes, because
So
you've
I've
done
got
well this year. You had Vietnam. I'm talking about
Vietnam.
being away with families. You're away with like 20
Revisit.
people.
I see your point. I really do. In fact, I've got a couple more planned. Let's get to that. So I've actually got a
good.
girls' trip because it's coming into 40th season.
Yes.
So some girlfriends and I are going to Bali end of next month, which is
so
actually end of this month. Oh my God, again, crazy time is. So in a few weeks, I'm going to Bali. Can't wait.
amazing.
But then we're going to Port Douglas over the Chrissy break, which will be gorgeous,
so
with
nice.
family on this holiday. And Mark said to me, do you think we could go on holiday just out as a family? You know, wouldn't that be a novel idea? Oh, next year, darling. Next year. Anyway.
We've got people to see, places to be. It's all happening.
We deliberately budget now to put money aside for holidays.
Yeah.
People know me as a bit of a tight ass, but I have learnt that I need to have a break. I think as I've become more senior and busier at work, my ability to cope and just kind of sustain my energy through the whole course of the year is just near on impossible now. So whether they're just short breaks and whether it's just even taking a Sunday and a Monday occasionally and just staying locally and just by the water, you know, you're a big proponent of, you know, just being by the water to kind of de-stress and what that does. So yeah, that's really something I've been working on to maintain my mental health this year for sure.
When do you think what are the signs of you turning to the dark side and you're like, no, I need to have a break now? Like, what are your telltale signs?
Oh, there are just so many, like my quality of sleep for starters becomes really poor, even though I'm so sleep deprived and exhausted. I just can't sleep. So I can tell that by my little Apple Watch that everyone knows that I love to wear still. I'm obviously super irritable at home. I have less motivation at work. I'm probably more frustrated and snappy at work too, which I would hate to be with my team, and I've certainly been called out by a couple of people, my boss being one, saying, are you grumpy today? That's usually a telltale sign.
Time for a holiday.
It was on Teams. Grumpy, question mark. And I just wrote back, no. So yeah, they're probably the best examples of when enough's enough and you probably need to check yourself, because no one wants to turn up at home or at work a bit like that.
Oh, 100%. Do you find that when you go away, you can actually switch off from work completely, or do you need to be online a little bit?
I am online, so not completely. Yeah. I am the person who has to take, I probably don't have to, but I do. Yeah. The nature of my role is that, if something was to happen that was critical to the business, I would need to probably make myself available.
Yeah.
Am I sitting there with my laptop open on the kitchen bench on holiday? Absolutely not.
Yeah,
and I do try really hard to be present.
Yeah.
I don't want to have Tommy and Harry yelling at me, look at me, Mum, put your phone down on holidays. Yeah. You know, I work hard so that we can have holidays and have that time together. So I've got to make the most of it.
I think where I get a bit undone is, similar. So for context for those listening, Liv works in a corporate environment in HR. I work in a family business doing property development and construction, and I obviously have the podcast business. Now, what that means for me is that there's not really annual leave. Like it's a kind of like a family business, and similar to yourself, I actually do like to have my hand on the pulse, at least just even if it means emails like for 20 minutes, just to make sure I'm clearing so that I don't come back to like 1,000 emails, just to kind of that. It's great. My family are really respectful when it's time off. We're not going to bother Leonie unless it's like critical. Where I come a bit undone is more from podcast perspective. Even if I have planned all my episodes and things like that, it's the Instagram component, and Instagram never bloody sleeps. Like, and literally from the DMs that I get, which I absolutely love hearing from people and all of that.
So you want to respond to your listeners, and you don't want the account to go dormant.
Look, I probably, and I won't necessarily respond within 24 hours if you DM me, but I do have this thing where you've taken the time to send me a message out of your day. I, at some point in the next week, I'm probably going to respond to you. And then it's also the ensuring that I've got, posts up, or that if something happens, put it on stories, and then I get down a rabbit hole of that. So it's just like this new component that I wonder, if we were born 20 years earlier, we may not have had experience to this level, and particularly as
we wouldn't have had phones,
right?
You wouldn't have, you didn't have a laptop, like,
right?
Digital transformation
yes.
goes everywhere with you. You can't even, 20 years ago, you were doing work, you were logging, actually you weren't even logging off, you were putting your pen down at whatever time and walking out the office, because the fax machine and everything else was in the office. You didn't take it home unless what was weighing on your mind. So we are working more and more and more. Certainly as work environments have come, corporate environments have come into the home, but you are on site, you're at home, you're working 24/7. Finding the line and being able to have work life and home life is near on impossible.
Near on impossible.
Finding that in leave as well.
It's just insane. And this is actually a good segue to our topic today. So I actually got this DM that came through, and I thought, perfect, let's talk about this one. It's all around sort of the career mum guilt that we can feel. So this particular person DM'd me and said, the career motherhood conflict. I don't believe society supports mums who are trying to maintain their momentum in their career whilst raising young children. Some things has to give, and for so many of us it ends up being the amount of time we can dedicate to our jobs that we love in order to be a mum. This ties into a lot of other issues around expectations, our village support, and so many other things. And then there's generally this premise of us wanting to be this perfect mother, I say in talking marks, but then versus this ideal worker in talking marks. How do we get the balance?
We put so much pressure on ourselves, don't we? And I mean, this person is questioning, the cornerstones of society that exist to support us. Some of them just don't exist, quite frankly. And, we can talk about childcare and how expensive it is and the accessibility piece. And for some parents that actually it's not cost effective to go back to work because of the cost of childcare. Like, okay, there is the most significant issue for working families, whether that's mothers or fathers. That's the first thing. But, put that aside. We've spoken about on the podcast before, can you do it all? Can you be the glorified mum managing it all, and can you have a really good career? I think maybe I'd have to go back and listen to that, and I suspect at that time I probably would have said, sure, you can do it all, but you just can't do it at the one time. I still very much feel that you can do it all, but I would go as far as saying at separate times
100%.
now. It is really hard, and I think everybody who is a working parent right now listening to this goes, it feels like you run a marathon before you even start your working day. You are worried about being a good parent, and you're worried about being a good worker. And when those things collide and you don't feel like you're doing anything well, everything starts to crumble. And you can go into some really dark places, I think, in your mental health when you just feel like you are failing. Like that's just, and you can probably think about some times where things are not working at home and things are not working at work, and it's really, really defeating.
It's almost like we want to work as though we don't have children, but then we we want to also parent as though we don't have jobs.
Like I often am still sitting at my desk at 6:30, 7 o'clock sometimes, and I have to look at myself and go, why the hell am I doing this?
Yeah.
Am I doing it? Well, one, because I've got the work and I need to be there, but then I go, but I've missed bedtime, or am I here because my business thinks that presenteeism, or is that just me? And I think a lot of the time as working parents, we put so much pressure on ourselves that actually, no, I should be there still doing that and showing that I'm committed. And I will say, like, I always say yes to meetings on the day that is my non-working. So I will go into the office on the day that I should be at home doing pick up and drop off, because I feel bad not like saying no to the work thing, and trying to just navigate when you say yes and when you say no, and what is the support structure that your organisation or business or family can provide you is really important to kind of navigate that.
Yes. Do you think that from your perspective it is more your own internal pressure?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I obviously lead the people function at our organisation, and I care very, very deeply, and hope that this is felt by particularly any working parent in our law firm, where that they feel that they have the flexibility to be able to do their work, and be at home whenever it is that they need to be, and that they can, dart out at 4 o'clock to, get to, swimming, or attend the little aths day at, 10 o'clock because you don't want to miss little Joey doing his, 100-metre hurdles.
Yeah.
Creating that accessibility and normalising that is really, really important. And workplaces have come a really, really long way. But, I think for me personally, I do put a lot of pressure on myself rather than anyone else. There's no one else. No one else told me, I think back now, I went back to work when Harry was maybe 4 months old. I mean, you were similar in your own business. You had to go back to work. And I live with no regrets, but I do regret that. The firm did not ask me to come back, but I felt like I needed to go back to work. One, because I didn't want to burden my team and the firm with my absence. Two, because I was worried about my career. So this person saying, can I be, still have my career? I was worried at that point. I'd just been promoted into a new role. I felt like I had to live up to the expectations that, I'd been promoted and I needed to be there and do that. But I missed out and wasn't as present and was bloody stressed from, the moment that Harry was 4 months, well, his whole life, really. He doesn't know any different.
Yeah.
So, I do think we put so much pressure on ourselves, and I wish to change that for, any mum in particular. Obviously, that's my affinity, but obviously for working parents coming into our organisation.
What would you say to someone who is in that headspace right now going, I feel guilty, I'm on maternity leave, or I feel guilty, I'm on paternity leave. Should I go back sooner? Now that you've lived that, what would you do differently?
I would get some counselling. There are so many great providers where you can just kind of work that through, and you need to get that sorted in your brain as quickly as possible as to what's important. The other piece of advice that I'd give this person and I'd give myself is your career and your working life is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
I know in that time it felt like that was the only time and I had to go back.
Yeah.
But really another 9 or 12 or 15 months really would not have made the difference in the right working environment. So that's the first check. What kind of place are you working in?
Yeah.
Get some of your own support through counselling or talking to friends or colleagues, then linking in with your businesses. What are their expectations, right? And they're either going to be aligned with yours or not. So working through that. And then just being kind to yourself, like it all works itself out in the end.
Yeah.
And they're babies. I think this is what I'm trying to say about Harry. They're babies for such a short period of time.
Yeah.
And you never get that time back. And how many times can you remember someone saying that to you and you kind of just roll your eyes and go, whatever. Like, that's fine. I'll be fine. Like, I can do it all. Like, this is and like, work's my identity, right?
Yeah.
Like, that is who I am. I've always been that way.
Yeah.
But, I would, and, a girl in my team has just had her first bubba and I'm really trying to coach her and support her as much as I possibly can to just be present for this time. You know, in her wanting her email access, I was coaching her on why, right? Now, of course, you want to stay connected to your workplace, and I think that really does help for parents.
It did for me.
Yeah, so you know what's going on and you don't feel like you're being replaced, and organisations have a real responsibility to manage that carefully so that when you start your parental leave, you are still part of a team. You are still part of an organisation. You're just stepping away to do another really important job and you'll be right back to pick up where you left off.
Yes.
Now, of course, you know, businesses can change in periods where you're off on parental leave too. So that, you know, staying connected does make it easier to stay abreast of any changes that might be happening.
Yeah, 100%. And I like that thinking around it's a marathon, not a sprint. I had to take that mindset. I mean, we're now November, and as you know, Liv, I've been studying for this assessment that I had in property, and I literally got to a point where I was like, okay, so got the full-time jobs, you know, whatever that I'm keeping busy with. I've got this added layer of study. How do I fit all of this in? And my new thing, like a year ago, would have been like, I have to be still, you know, exponentially growing the podcast while exponentially, you know, proving myself at my job in property, and then finding time to study, and then being the best mum, and I can do it all, and I just don't have to sleep. Whereas now I was like, I took the mindset for the last 6 months of, okay, my main priority is this study for this assessment. That's it. That's my one thing. Podcast, property, keeping the lights on. Just keeping them on. They will still be there. Like I don't have to go, you know, gung-ho every day because God, this could be our last. I mean, touch wood, but really it's a marathon, not a sprint. So perhaps that mindset, you know, for those listening as well as what Liz was saying.
For those worried about career, for those who are thinking having a baby is going to stall my career or it's going to limit my opportunities or my progression, it might slow it down for like a wee second, perhaps, maybe not at all. But in the scheme of things, in the right organisational context, it will go by so quickly.
Right.
Just on the society aspect too, I mean, there's obviously a lot of challenges around, you know, gender and primary care responsibilities, and I think we're coming a long way. You know, as an example, daycare will call Mark, you know, as opposed to me, or we'll rotate between both of us. Because, you know, 5-10 years, probably, maybe even less than 5 years ago, or even in my experience anyway, they were always calling mum and the primary care giver. And, you know, you think about organisations too, if a child's sick, you know, how you share that home responsibility too. You know, is it mum? Is it dad? Is it a shared responsibility? I have worked in organisations where it was assumed, you know, that it would be the mother that, you know, would be at home, or we don't want to hire that person, you know, because, you know,
they'll be distracted.
She'll be distracted, or they've had lots of leave, or what's going, you know, there's so much that goes on. We could talk about that for hours and hours and hours, because it will take a much bigger solution, but it does start at home, and you know, your partnership about how you manage your responsibilities to be able to do what you need to do.
What about if what guidance would you give around people who might be sitting there going, but I don't know how to set boundaries with my organisation. I want to be able to get to that thing for my kid and I feel nervous to ask the question. How would you frame the conversation? What would you be saying?
I would just start by having the conversation with whoever the person is that you report to about perhaps how you're feeling around being a working parent. And, you know, and there is a thing, it's really important that I get to Joey's sports event. I've missed a few others. Would it be okay if I either work flexibly? Yeah. So could I, you know, work an extra hour, you know, 3 other nights this week to make up for that time? You know, worst case, if they say no to that, and I'd be absolutely flabbergasted if they did. But again, the other thing that's just popped into my brain there is there are some roles where you can't do that. If you are a nurse or a doctor or an emergency services provider and you're on shift work, that's really hard. But I guess you could ask for if there's some priority around rostering. You know, but do you take leave? You know, we get a leave provision, you know, obviously how you use that. But, you know, for it to come to that feels, pretty hard. Workplaces have just got to get better at integrating work and life, and you will have more productive, happier people if you're allowing them to have access. And if you can demonstrate that you have the organisation at the heart of your decisions, right? So going, if you're constantly like me, and my kid's doing this and my kid's doing that and I'm going to go do this and it's impacting your role and your ability to do your job, that's a different problem, right? But if you were doing everything that you can and you got that loyalty and you've built that trust, which is the most important thing for any working parent or any employee in general, if you would ask me, then you should have the foundation to be able to make any request for living your life.
Yes, 100% agree. I know it's such a complex one, isn't it? We could talk about it all day, but hopefully to that person who did DM us, we've given you a little bit of context, perhaps a little bit of advice from our own stories as well around how we all navigate this beast. But really, it is complex and you're not alone, I guess is what I would say on that one. So, all right, Liv, well, I'll catch you next time.
See you.